Welcome to Book Talk. I'm Winston. I like to read good books, and you should too. Today we're talking about an entry from DriveThru RPG Pocket Quest 2023 Game Design Jam. This one is Shadow of Mars. And of course, you had me at Mars, ominous title. Got my whole Mutiny on Mars thing going here from the Starman Saga. Love those books. So what is Shadow of Mars? Well, I started reading this, I'm like, okay, there's some really curious design choices going on here. Beautiful background, looks pretty, and got some nice graphics going on there, but wait a minute, that's laid out in a courier style monospace font. Well, that's an interesting choice. Clearly, it's an intentional choice because the graphic design, the layout design on this is really remarkable. So that means there's something going on here. I start reading through it, you land on Mars, a month goes by, your crew starts getting a little paranoid. So the first page here is single column, transitions immediately into a 2-column layout, again with that monospace font. And then a page for the rules, we're back to single column. And then we're back to double column. And then double, single. It doesn't perfectly alternate, but it transitions back between the two. It's very jarring. It's very unsettling. And it's very intentional. Because this is a game about paranoia. You create your characters, you use a ablative dice system for all of the actions, all the resolutions. Anytime the GM calls for a roll, you roll your handful of 6-siders. Any of those that come up a 1 are permanently removed from the game. When you run out of dice, your character is removed from play in a manner befitting the story at the time, because this is hardcore narrative storytelling game. And for this, boy, I haven't seen something with this kind of sense of impending doom since Dread and that Jenga tower doing stuff. Oh man. Every time you roll those dice, what's this going to cost me? How much am I going to give up for this? So where does the tension in this game come from? Yeah, it's all good to say this is a game about people being paranoid, but where is all of this coming from? Well, there's a secret for the GM that kind of gives them direction on where to run the game and where to take it. But the core of the game, and then there's some seeds for seeding the events. The core of the game are the characters. The attitude for these different character roles. Like, here's Commander, you were the boss. When it comes down to it, the success of the mission is on your shoulders. To put it simply, the buck stops with you. As far as you is concerned, it's not about being popular, it's about getting the job done. Special ability, issue orders. As a person running the mission, you can issue orders to others, which they are expected to follow. They could choose to follow it or not, but if they don't, there's consequences. All right, compare that to the executive officer, and the very first line says, it should have been you leading this mission. Right away, we have tension, and that's a good example of the kind of tension that you find in here. Then, each of the character archetypes has agendas, and as they lose dice, I believe, then the agendas get more aggressive. The commander wants to stay in charge. The executive officer wants to take over. The science officer, the medical officer, everybody has their own agenda. And this is set up for you to play these out in a pure narrative fashion. And when two agendas come into conflict is when you roll the dice and then the GM narrates the outcome of that, and the players take turn, the players contribute their parts, and the whole thing is just a marvelous mathematical study in paranoia that really intrigues me. And I mentioned the graphic design early on because, you know, when you get to the character templates, he opts for, you know, they opt for readability rather than this monotype font. So there's a little bit of additional graphic design going on here. The rest of this monotype, the rest of this layout is very intentional, and it's very unsettling. It really communicates the paranoia that is at the core of this game. That is Shadow of Mars. I was very impressed with this presentation. And of course, as always, you can find an affiliate link in the description below. That'll take you to DriveThru RPG. While you're there, check out my book, Opposing Forces for Fate. Head over to DriveThru Fiction. Check out my Starman Saga, or Diane Detzer's Intergalactic League. And of course, don't forget my own entry in Pocket Quest, Scrappers. When you're done with all of that, come on back here because there's more book talk yet to come.